am literally hyperventilating. I cannot breathe. Rudy, what are you doing?
No, because I am actually unwell. I have hives. You do not just turn on a cartel burner phone in a diner.
Right. I mean, that is literally how you end up the subject of a true crime documentary, babe. It is a tragedy waiting to happen.
We have to protect him. We need to bubble wrap that sweet man at all costs because his survival instincts are just, like, deeply non-existent.
Babes, welcome back. We love you. We see you. And babes, we are so happy you are here.
Welcome to the Snark Side, everyone.
We are jumping straight into the absolute wreckage today because, honestly, there's just too much to unpack. But first, let the Snark Squad know exactly what we are sipping on to cope with all this madness.
Oh, we came so prepared today. We are both currently holding these massive mason jars because we are rustic but chic, obviously, and they are filled to the brim with blackberry vodka lemonades.
And babes, they are dangerously good. Like, dangerously. The blackberries are all muddled, the lemonade is so tart, and the vodka is doing exactly what it was hired to do.
Numbing the pain of watching our favorite characters make the worst choices imaginable.
Exactly. It is the perfect summer drink to cool down our boiling hot rage.
I put a giant sprig of mint in mine just to feel like I have my life together, and honestly, the aromatherapy is working. So raise a glass, whether you are drinking with us or sipping an iced coffee or just aggressively hydrating with water.
Cheers to everyone listening. Toast to another chaotic recap, bestie. Clink.
Clink. Oh, wow. Yeah, that actually just fixed my central nervous system a little bit.
Right. It is practically medicinal at this point. So before we totally immerse ourselves in the Rikers Island of it all, we have to debrief on the real world because, we are both dentists, we work in completely different clinics, and we just see the absolute wildest sides of human behavior every single day.
We really do.
So give me the dental highs and lows of your workday, babe.
Okay, well, my day was deeply satisfying, but in a very, mechanical, borderline sadistic way.
Oh, God, I am bracing myself.
No, the absolute highlight was extracting the most insanely stubborn, deeply rooted wisdom tooth I have ever seen in my professional career.
Visceral details only, please.
I mean, this tooth was a structural marvel. The roots were curved at the very bottom, shaped exactly like fishhooks, just anchoring it directly into the jawbone. It was paying rent in that mouth.
It had a lease.
It had a 30-year mortgage. It had zero intention of leaving. But the sheer mechanical satisfaction of analyzing the x-ray, understanding the exact angle of resistance, and applying that precise leverage, I pulled that bad boy out completely intact.
I literally cannot with you. You describe oral surgery the way a supervillain describes dismantling a hero's defenses.
It is a puzzle of biology and physics, and I won.
Terrifying. But I respect the clinical triumph. What was the low point?
Okay, so the funniest moment happened with a notorious anti-flosser. We all have those patients who view flossing as a personal insult. Right?
Oh, absolutely. They take it so personally.
Exactly. So I gave them the standard lecture. I was like, your gums are exhibiting severe inflammation because plaque is trapped beneath the gum line. It is a localized immune response. It is not because I am poking you too hard.
The classic attempt to blame the hygienist.
Always. But this patient got so defensive about their own hygiene that when I went back in with the little dental mirror to check a back molar, they actively tried to bite the mirror.
Shut up. Wait, like a toddler.
Just clamped their jaw shut on the instrument, like a total fight or flight response. I had to hold the handle steady like I was playing tug-of-war with a golden retriever.
Out of pure spite.
Completely involuntary spite. I just looked at them and said, breaking a sterile instrument is not going to make your gingivitis disappear.
You were so blunt. People completely regress when they feel judged in a medical setting, but you just do not hold back.
I believe in the hard truth, which leads me to my favorite patient interaction today. A cosmetic consult comes in. They demand a full arch of those blindingly white, completely opaque, totally unnatural veneers.
Oh no, the reality TV special, Chiclet Teeth.
Exactly. Perfectly healthy teeth, but they want them ground down to little pegs for these massive porcelain blocks. And their justification. They looked at me and demanded to know, will these look good on camera? Because I am in the final casting round for a reality dating show.
Please, for the love of God, tell me exactly how you responded.
I looked right at them, totally deadpan, and said, the porcelain will reflect the studio lighting beautifully, but you are going to need to buy a personality first if you want to make it past the producers.
You did not say that to a paying patient, bestie, no.
I did, because it is the truth. You cannot just slap $10,000 of porcelain over your teeth and expect to become a television icon, Charisma cannot be cemented into place.
You are an absolute menace, but you are entirely correct. Okay, my day was a profound emotional roller coaster. Being a dentist is genuinely just being an unlicensed therapist who also wields a high-speed drill.
It is a highly vulnerable position. You are lying back, mouth open, someone is in your personal space. It triggers a weird psychological need to overshare.
It totally does. So it was the absolute best part of my day, hands down, was this elderly patient of mine. He is the sweetest, most gentle man on the planet. He came in for a standard follow-up, and he brought me a tiny, hand-tied bouquet of wildflowers.
Oh, that is actually very sweet.
Right, just to say thank you for being gentle with his gums during his last visit. I literally teared up. I almost fogged up my loops crying. It was just this beautiful, romantic gesture of human kindness.
See, you are such a soft-hearted, emotional romantic. You look for the absolute best in people. My cynical brain would immediately be analyzing the flowers like, "Sir, did you pick these from the clinic's landscaping?" Because those look exactly like the petunias we just planted near the parking lot.
Stop it. Let me have my wholesome faith in humanity restored moment.
I will allow it,
Oh,
but
wow.
only because I know the chaos is coming. What was the chaotic moment?
Oh, maximum chaos. I had a patient in the chair for a pretty involved restorative procedure, so I have their mouth propped wide open with a bite block, and I have the dental dam fully deployed.
For the Snark Squad who do not know, the dental dam is like a sheet of rubber we stretch over the teeth. It isolates the area.
Yet they look like a tiny trampoline covering the mouth.
It is a beautiful invention. It keeps the field sterile, but psychologically, it is nature's do not disturb sign. It physically prevents the patient from speaking.
That is the theory. But this patient, they completely refused to be silenced by the laws of physics. They were trying to fully, passionately recount the entire timeline of their aggressively messy divorce, with the dam securely in place.
Oh, yeah, guy.
It sounded like unlawyer, unhunt took the dog, and I'm just standing there holding my suction tube, trying to translate these muffled vowels, going, wow, he took the dog. That is deeply unfair.
The sheer dedication to the gossip. They were not going to let a literal sheet of rubber stop them from dragging their ex-spouse.
It was hilarious. But then the absolute peak interaction happened right after, with a different patient getting a little laughing gas, just to take the edge off. As I am adjusting the flow, they look me dead in the eye and ask, with complete sincerity, if the laughing gas will make them braver.
Braver? In what context? To face the drill.
No. They asked if it would make them braver so they could finally text their toxic ex back. They were holding their phone, looking at an active text thread, and they were like, will this give me the courage to hit send on a really mean paragraph?
Oh, the psychology of that is fascinating. They're looking for a chemical scapegoat. They want the disinhibition of the nitrous so they can blame the drug for their actions.
Exactly, and I wanted so badly to enable it. I wanted to say, yes, babe, let the nitrous oxide guide your thumbs. Tell him he belongs in the garbage.
I absolutely would have enabled it. I would have said, clinical studies show laughing gas increases your ability to identify toxic men by 400%. Hit send immediately.
I had to maintain my medical professionalism. I told them it just relaxes the central nervous system. But in my heart, I was drafting the text for them.
You are better than me.
Well, speaking of chaotic human behavior, we have to transition because this week, our DMs were flooded with the most unhinged stories.
The Snark Squad really delivered. Because it was Canada Day week up north, we asked for stories of peak summer chaos, and the Canadian listeners flooded the inbox.
We selected 3 specific listener confessions, and we are going to play a quick game. We need to categorize each story as either shady, snarky, or stupid. Are you ready to judge?
I was born ready to judge. Hit me with the first one.
Okay, confession number 1. From a listener in Ontario. My entire street is currently engaged in a massive, litigious neighborhood feud. The guy at the end of the cul-de-sac spent $2,000 on fireworks. He set them off, and the next morning, the HOA president sent a furious mass email claiming his fireworks were, quote, too American.
Wait, let's just pause and unpack the logistics of that. How can exploding chemicals possess a nationality? What makes a firework too American?
I know. The listener clarified in a follow-up DM. The HOA president's email stated that the fireworks were aggressively loud, excessively concussive, and lacked the polite, reserved sparkle appropriate for a local celebration.
I am fascinated by the psychology of homeowner associations. Give someone a tiny sliver of authority and they become a dictator of aesthetics. Lacked a polite sparkle. Did they expect the Roman candles to quietly excuse themselves before detonating?
Right, so where are we categorizing this HOA president? Shady, snarky, or stupid?
The HOA president is operating at a masterclass level of snark, sending a formal, documented mass email to critique the cultural vibe of a pyrotechnic display. That is top-tier passive-aggressive snark. They weaponize the listserv.
See, I completely disagree, Bestie. I think this is profoundly stupid. We are talking about literal explosives in the sky. The entire point of fireworks is to be loud and concussive. Why are we gatekeeping the patriotism of gunpowder? Let the man blow up his driveway in peace.
You were looking at the emotion, I'm looking at the execution. The execution was pure snark. Okay, what is confession number 2?
This one is a culinary disaster from Alberta. Quote, I was invited to a very upscale, formal, catered dinner party. I misunderstood the vibe and accidentally brought a family-sized bag of ketchup chips and a pre-mixed plastic jug of Mott's Clamato Caesars.
Oh no.
It gets worse. The host pulled me aside and asked me to hide my items in my car trunk because their packaging was ruining the visual aesthetic of the artisan charcuterie board. I completely refused, opened the crinkly bag of chips, poured myself a Caesar in a crystal glass, and stood firmly by the cheese board all night. I am not apologizing. Unquote.
Oh, the power dynamics in this room must have been suffocating. I am obsessed with the guest. They activated their main character energy and refused to back down.
But is the guest being shady, snarky, or stupid?
I am putting this in the snarky category as well, bordering on legendary defiance. Let's analyze the culinary elitism here. The host is prioritizing visual aesthetics over the actual enjoyment of their guests. And the guest recognized the pretension and countered it by stubbornly enjoying their highly processed snacks out of a crystal glass. It is a brilliant juxtaposition of high and low culture. Ketchup chips are a delicacy.
I look at it so differently. I think the guest is being incredibly shady. Think about the effort it takes to host a formal dinner party. The host probably spent 3 days curating that menu, agonizing over the table setting, to show up with a plastic jug of clam tomato juice and a neon red bag of convenience store chips, and then actively refuse to put them away.
But the host asked them to hide in the trunk. That is so rude.
That is shady behavior from the guest, though. You are intentionally disrespecting their space and their effort. Read the room, babe.
A good host accepts the gifts of their guests with grace, even if that gift is flavored with malt vinegar and MSG. The guest held their ground, are respected immensely.
We have completely opposite views on social etiquette. Okay, final confession. Number 3, from a listener in Muskoka. Quote, we had a cottage weekend disaster. 4 of us were in a canoe, and because we lacked core strength, we tipped it over immediately.
Classic.
While we were treading freezing water in the middle of the lake, a massive moose walked out of the tree line and just stared at us. One of my friends panicked so badly that her brain broke, and she just started yelling, I'm sorry to the moose, every 30 seconds, while splashing wildly and making the moose visibly angrier.
I cannot.
We had to tread water for 45 minutes until the moose finally got bored and left, all while she kept aggressively apologizing to it. Unquote.
The pure, unfiltered survival instinct, or lack thereof, is astounding.
We can agree in unison on the category for this one.
Without a doubt. Stupid.
Biologically, evolutionarily stupid.
Let's talk about the fight-or-flight response. When confronted with an apex herbivore that weighs 1,000 pounds, your options are freeze, flee, or fight. This friend chose a 4th option, verbal appeasement to a creature that does not comprehend the English language.
But it is so relatable, babe. What do you do when a prehistoric beast the size of a minivan looks at you? Her brain defaulted to the most deeply ingrained social conditioning she had, which is apologizing for being in the way. Sorry, Mr. Moose. Sorry we invaded your pond.
But she was splashing. She was creating erratic movement and high-pitched noises. To a moose, she is not issuing an apology. She is issuing a threat display. If I were in that water, I would have quietly backstroked away and used her as a noisy decoy.
You would sacrifice your friend to a moose. You are ruthless.
It is survival of the fittest, bestie.
Honestly, thank you to the Snark Squad for these submissions. You guys are messy, you are surviving chaotic situations, and we adore you for it. But babes, enough about our wonderfully chaotic Canadians. Let's get into today's recap.
It is time. We have to break down Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed, Episode 8, Hallidays. And I am still vibrating with anxiety from this hour of television.
The structural pacing of this episode was relentless. We need to start at the absolute rock bottom of the narrative arc because that is exactly where we find Paula.
The cold open. Paula is fully sitting in a holding cell at Rikers Island.
She has been arrested, completely framed, for the double murder of Trevor and Skye. She is stripped of her clothes, her phone, her dignity, and she is wearing the standard issue orange jumpsuit. And before we get into the severe legal peril, we have to talk about the look.
We really do. Because she somehow managed to completely slay the orange jumpsuit. It was giving orange as the new black high fashion editorial.
It really was. But the visual is secondary to the absolute horror of her situation. She is in one of the most notoriously violent, complex jail systems in the world.
And this is where the theme of the episode really starts.
Ah.
A guard approaches the cell and tells Paula she has a visitor, her lawyer. Paula goes to the visitation room. A woman in a sharp blazer sits down, introduces herself as Rebecca Halliday, and Paula just completely unravels.
She spills everything. Our sweet, traumatized, desperate Paula unloads her entire mental hard drive. Every illegal action she took, every piece of evidence she touched, every suspicion she has about Dennis and the blackmail ring. She gives this woman a masterclass in her own culpability.
And then, the psychological knife twist. Paula is escorted back to her cell. A few hours pass. The guard returns and says, "You have a visitor. Your lawyer, Rebecca Halliday."
Paula is so confused. She goes back to the visitation room, and in walks a completely different woman, the real Rebecca Halliday, complaining about how long security took and how her tires got slashed in the parking lot.
Which means the first woman was an imposter sent by the blackmail ring. Paula just gave a full, unredacted confession to the enemy.
I was yelling at my television. The sheer, unadulterated stupidity of Paula in this moment is staggering. But let's break down the mechanics of how this even happens, because a lot of people are like, how does an imposter get into Rikers?
It is a massive failure of protocol. In massive jail complexes, the sheer volume of attorneys coming in and out is overwhelming. If you know the name of the assigned attorney and you have the resources to forge a state bar ID card, you can exploit the tired, underpaid front desk staff. The imposter, Jennifer, used social engineering. She looked the part, acted impatient, flashed a forgery, and bypassed the guards.
It is a logistical nightmare, but I have to fiercely defend Paula here. You called her stupid, and I think that just lacks empathy, babe.
I welcome your defense of this monumental error in judgment.
Look at her psychological state. She is a single mother. She was scammed. Her life savings are gone. She found a dead body. She got arrested in front of her child, and she spent the night in a concrete cell with zero information. She is experiencing profound trauma. When a woman walks in wearing a blazer, speaking with authority, Paula grabs it. Her brain is screaming for an ally.
But you do not ask a lifeguard for their certification card when you're actively drowning. Wait, no, you do ask your lawyer for their bar card. Attorney-client privilege only applies to your actual attorney. Paula should have said, "Please provide 2 forms of ID before I say a single word." Instead, she handed the cartel a roadmap to her own destruction.
It is devastating to watch, but right when it feels hopeless, we get a tiny ray of light. Carl, her estranged husband, shows up and posts her bail.
I know exactly what you were going to do here, and I'm preemptively rejecting it. Do not romanticize Carl's actions.
I'm going to romanticize it. It was a beautiful, redemptive moment. Think about the context. They are divorced. He was remarried to Mallory, who hates Paula. He owes Paula nothing legally, but he still puts up a massive sum of money to get her out. And when she walks out of those heavy metal doors, completely broken, she just crumbles into his arms. The way he held her, it proves there is still a deep foundation of love there.
He is not a safe harbor. He's a man doing the absolute bare minimum for the mother of his child. If he had left Paula to rot in Rikers while he slept in a king-sized bed, he would be an irredeemable monster. Bailing her out is baseline human decency. Do not forget, Carl blew up their family in the first place.
People make mistakes. He's trying to make amends.
Is he? Because he immediately follows up this heroic act by delivering a devastating blow on the car ride home. He drops the hammer. Because she is currently under indictment for a double homicide, his lawyer secured an emergency modification to their custody agreement. Paula is now legally restricted to supervised visits only with Hazel.
My heart genuinely shattered for her in that scene, and the real emotional damage came later during their supervised video call. Hazel holds up a painting she did at school of her family, and she painted her stepmother, Mallory, holding her hand instead of Paula. The look on Paula's face, I mean, there is no pain quite like the realization that you are becoming replaceable in your child's life.
It was a brutal emotional beat. But objectively speaking, from a family court perspective, it is the only correct decision. Standing next to Paula is statistically the most dangerous place on the eastern seaboard. Hazel needs to be insulated from that chaos.
I understand the logic, but it hurts. But this brings us to the Mallory problem, because we need to talk about Carl's new wife and how she reacted to the bail situation.
Mallory is stepping firmly into her villain era, and I am entirely captivated by her sociopathy.
She is terrifying. Carl goes home looking incredibly guilty and confesses that he posted Paula's bail. He expects Mallory to explode in anger, but she doesn't. Her face goes completely blank, her eyes narrow, and she coldly calculates the situation. She tells Carl that this was actually a shrewd move, because now Paula is financially and legally indebted to them.
And Mallory plans to use this leverage to force Paula to surrender permanent custody, allowing Mallory and Carl to move to Boise with Hazel. It was a masterclass in Machiavellian legal strategy. Mallory does not view human beings as people. She views them as assets or liabilities on a balance sheet.
And the camera lingers on Carl's face while Mallory is explaining this plan. You can physically see the horror dawning on him. He is looking at the woman he left his family for, and he is realizing, oh my God, I married a monster. We were spiraling in our group chat about this. Carl wanted to escape Paula's emotional chaos, and he accidentally locked himself in a cage with an apex predator.
Carl is a man who lacks internal conviction. He floats along until a stronger personality directs him. He thought Mallory was just organized and ambitious. He is now discovering she operates with the ethical compass of a mob boss.
I almost feel bad for him. He looks so trapped.
Do not feel bad for him. He made his bed, and now he has to sleep in it with a sociopath. Meanwhile, Paula is trapped in her own house, legally forbidden from leaving the state. But because she has the self-preservation instincts of a lemming, she decides to play detective again.
She is a woman pushed to the absolute edge. She is sitting on her porch, feeling utterly powerless, and an Amazon Prime delivery van drives by. The visual triggers a light bulb moment. She pulls out her phone and realizes she is still logged into Dennis's fake John Smith Amazon account.
The analytical hustle here is impressive, I will concede that. Her brain is actively seeking solutions.
It is brilliant. She logs in and she orders a cheap $10 charging cable with one-day shipping. But she sends it to the address of Eunice, the sweet elderly woman who unknowingly acts as a package mule for the blackmail ring. Paula's logic is flawless. If I follow Eunice when she leaves her house with the Amazon box, she will lead me straight to Dennis's real address.
Okay, yes, the physical tracking element is a clever piece of grassroots surveillance. But we need to discuss the sheer, unadulterated technological stupidity of her methodology.
You always have to ruin the girl boss moment with technicalities.
These are not technicalities. This is basic digital forensics. Paula is the prime suspect in a double homicide. The police are actively investigating. The cartel has hackers. And Paula uses her own smartphone, connected to her own home Wi-Fi network, to order an item on the deceased victim's account.
She left a digital footprint.
She left a digital billboard. Every time you log in, it logs your IP address, your device ID, and your location data. Whoever the IT guy is for the cartel is going to see a login originating from Paula's residential IP. It is incredibly reckless.
It is reckless, but in the short term, it yields results. The next day, Paula stakes out Eunice's house. Eunice loads the box into her trunk and drives away. Paula tails her through these quiet suburban streets until Eunice finally stops and drops the package on the porch of a completely nondescript, affluent suburban home.
The banality of evil. The cartel headquarters isn't a dark warehouse. It's a 4-bedroom house with a manicured lawn.
Paula waits for Eunice to leave, and then we get the most hilariously chaotic break-in sequence I've ever seen on television. Paula is creeping around to the back of the house to a basement window. She takes off her daughter's tiny little sweater, wraps it meticulously around her fist to muffle the sound, and punches the glass.
The reality of breaking and entering is rarely depicted accurately. Glass is remarkably resilient.
She punches it, the glass shatters, but the hole is too small, and her arm gets completely wedged in the jagged pane. She is stuck. She is struggling, sweating, realizing that real life is not an action movie, and she finally has to pick up a massive landscaping rock and just violently smash the entire window frame inward. It is loud, messy, and classic Paula.
It was a fantastic subversion of the trope. She is a dentist, not a Navy SEAL. So she climbs through, dropping into the dark basement, and immediately confirms she is in Dennis's lair. There are servers, monitors, and an empty wall safe.
And inside the safe, she finds one single piece of evidence that changes the emotional context of the entire show. She finds a photograph. A candid, clearly romantic, intimate photo of Trevor and Dennis together. It confirms they weren't just boss and employee, they were romantically involved.
The implications of that are massive for the motive of the murders. But Paula doesn't have a single second to process it because, from the shadows, a masked intruder lunges at her. They tackle her to the ground, and a gun clatters across the floor.
A literal fight for her life. And I need to talk about Paula's choice of weaponry here. They are scrambling in the dark, the intruder is reaching for the firearm, and what does Paula grab? a potted terracotta cactus.
I had to pause the episode. I was incapacitated with laughter. The sheer absurdity of houseplant combat.
Bestie, do not underestimate a cactus. Think about the biomechanics. She grabs a heavy clay pot filled with dense dirt, and she forcefully shoves the prickly, needle-covered succulent directly into the masked intruder's face.
The sensory overload would be staggering. You have potting soil blinding your eyes, heavy clay impacting your skull, and hundreds of microscopic needles embedding themselves into your epidermis. Highly effective.
It completely incapacitates the attacker. They drop to the floor, screaming, clawing at their face, and the ski mask comes off. And it's Ashley, Trevor's former scamming partner, the woman who has been terrorizing Paula.
The cactus leveled the playing field, allowing them to finally have an actual conversation instead of just hunting each other. And Ashley drops a massive exposition dump.
She explains the entire corporate structure of the scam. Trevor used to run these blackmail operations directly for Dennis. Dennis was the mastermind. But Trevor got greedy, stole the client list, recruited Skye and Ashley, and started running his own side hustle.
Which is the cardinal sin of the criminal underworld. You do not steal intellectual property from a cartel boss.
Yeah.
Dennis found out, and that is why Trevor was murdered. It was a corporate restructuring via homicide.
But the part that made me literally gasp out loud, the part that changes the entire trajectory of the show, was when Paula asked Ashley, why me? Out of millions of women on the internet, why did Trevor specifically target me?
And Ashley softens her tone.
Yeah.
She explains the methodology. Trevor targeted Paula because she was geographically local, she had a child which made her financially protective, and because she had, quote, exploitable weaknesses relating to something that happened in Portland.
The Portland drop. What happened in Portland?
Yeah.
This is the second time this city has been weaponized against her. Carl vaguely threatened her with Portland 3 episodes ago, and now we find out Trevor used it as the foundation for his entire psychological profile. What did Paula do?
I am telling you, my theory is solidifying into fact. We have viewed Paula as the victim, a clumsy, well-meaning dentist. But this proves she has a dark, buried past. Exploitable weaknesses implies immense guilt or legal liability. Did she commit medical malpractice? Did she accidentally cause a death? Whatever happened, it was severe enough that a professional scammer knew she would pay any amount of money to keep it hidden.
It completely recontextualizes her entire character. It makes her an unreliable narrator.
Brilliant writing. And Ashley drops one more massive piece of evidence. She admits that on the night Skye was murdered, Ashley was actively on a phone call with her. She heard the entire struggle, and she confirms, without a shadow of a doubt, that Dennis was the one who murdered Skye, using that horrifying expanding insulation foam.
Which is a deeply disturbing way to die. But to Paula, this confession is the golden ticket. Ashley is a direct ear witness to a murder. She can corroborate Paula's innocence. So Paula, fueled by pure adrenaline, forces Ashley, who, we should note, still has the handgun into her car, and physically drags her down to the local police precinct to confess directly to Detective Gonzalez.
And this is where the narrative transitions from a tense thriller back into a comedy of absolute buffoonery.
I can barely talk about it. It hurts my soul.
They arrive at the precinct lobby. Paula is one step away from clearing her name. And Ashley turns to her and says, "Hey, before we talk to the cops, I really need to use the restroom." And Paul looks at her and says, "Oh, sure. Go ahead in by yourself. I'll just wait out here by the vending machines."
I was screaming at the television. I was covering my eyes.
Why would you let a massive flight risk enter a room with a window unattended? I analyzed this scene frame by frame, just raising Paula's lack of situational awareness.
She wanted to trust her. She thought the trauma of the cactus fight and the shared grief over Trevor had bonded them. She thought they had a moment of female solidarity.
Ashley is a professional confidence trickster. Her entire career is built on feigning vulnerability to exploit gullible people like Paula. Of course, Ashley walks into the bathroom, pops the screen off the tiny frosted window, and bolts into the alleyway, leaving her tote bag behind on the tile floor.
Paula waits a few minutes, realizes it's too quiet, rushes into the bathroom, and finds it empty. In her panic, she accidentally kicks over Ashley's abandoned bag and outspills the loaded handgun, clattering onto the tiles alongside a small USB flash drive. Paula is now standing in a police station bathroom holding a murder weapon.
The walls are closing in.
So what does she do? She panics, grabs the flash drive and shoves it in her pocket, and she throws the loaded gun into the municipal trash can underneath the paper towel dispenser.
Let's talk about the legal ramifications of this choice. She is already indicted for homicide. She just took possession of a firearm belonging to a known criminal associate, wiped her prints on it, and discarded it in a public waste receptacle inside a government building. She is actively tampering with evidence in the worst way possible.
Her prefrontal cortex was completely shut down by cortisol. But she doesn't just cower. She marches out of that bathroom, walks right up to Detective Gonzalez's desk, and finally unleashes all her rage.
And this was a highly satisfying monologue.
It was incredibly cathartic. We know that Detective Gonzalez is severely compromised. She has a gambling addiction. She is phoning in this investigation. Paula stands in the middle of the bullpen and screams at her. She exposes the fake lawyer at Rikers. She yells about the cartel operating in the suburbs. And she verbally decimates the NYPD for doing absolutely nothing to protect the citizens. It was a beautiful indictment of systemic laziness.
It was a powerful performance. The NYPD in this universe is depicted with staggering incompetence, which mirrors a lot of real-world frustrations. Gonzalez just stares at her like she's an annoying mosquito. Paula standing up to the corruption was a highlight, even if her credibility is ruined by the fact that she just hit a gun next to some used Kleenex.
2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But while Paula is fighting for her actual life, we have to pivot to the workplace drama. Because back at the magazine office, Jerry and Rudy's friendship is spectacularly imploding.
The betrayal of the century. The collision of ambition and loyalty.
Jerry has been quietly, meticulously writing a massive, career-defining investigative piece on the Camboy extortion ring murders. And to make the story compelling, she is completely, ruthlessly throwing Paula under the bus. She is structuring the narrative around Paula's chaos. She is using every private, terrified confession Paula made to her over coffee. She even interviews the Yale admissions lady under false pretenses just to dig up dirt on Dennis's past.
And she takes this completed draft into the office of Susie, the intimidating editor-in-chief. Susie reads it, looks at Jerry with immense respect, and calls her ruthless. In journalism, that is the highest compliment.
I was physically nauseous watching this. The absolute betrayal of girlhood and friendship. Jerry was supposed to be Paula's anchor. She was the one who told Paula she believed her. And now she is monetizing Paula's trauma for a byline and a promotion. It is disgusting behavior.
Okay, I have to step in and play devil's advocate here because my analytical brain completely respects Jerry's strategic maneuvering.
You would defend the betrayal. You are just like Mallory.
Let's look at the facts objectively. Journalism is a dying, highly competitive industry. Jerry is a mid-level writer at a struggling publication. Paula forcefully dragged Jerry and Rudy into a violent homicide investigation, putting their lives at risk. Jerry stumbled onto the true crime story of the decade. Paula's going down anyway, so Jerry is simply capitalizing on the reality of the situation to secure her own financial future. It is not malicious. It is pragmatic. She has to get the bag.
It is entirely malicious. You do not exploit the vulnerability of the person sitting at the desk next to you. And Rudy entirely agrees with me, because Rudy is watching Jerry operate, and he senses the deception.
Rudy reaches his psychological breaking point in this episode.
He does. Jerry steps away from her desk to take a call. Rudy, fueled by this protective, righteous anger for Paula, walks over to Jerry's locked filing cabinet. He takes his heavy metal water bottle and he repeatedly, violently smashes the lock mechanism until it shatters.
The Foley work in this scene was incredible, just the deafening clang of metal on metal in a quiet office.
He rips open the drawer, and what does he find? He finds the printed manuscript of the hit piece on Paula. But worse, he finds Dennis's actual burner phone, the one Jerry stole from the crime scene, and hid to use as an exclusive source for her article.
Jerry walks back in and catches him. And the confrontation is brutal.
Rudy calls her out for being a backstabbing, opportunistic parasite. He demands to know how she can sleep at night. And Jerry gets defensive. She looks Rudy dead in the eye and delivers a devastating low blow. She says, "You're overreacting. You're being hysterical," just like you did with Faye.
Mentioning his toxic ex-girlfriend, it was a surgical strike to his deepest insecurity.
It was the kill shot. And Rudy, who is usually so passive and sweet, completely snaps. He just calmly picks up Jerry's expensive company-issued iPad, raises it above his head, and absolutely obliterates it against the hardwood floor. The screen shatters into a million pieces. He grabs the burner phone and walks out.
The financial liability aside, it was a phenomenal character moment. Rudy finally accessed his anger. He chose loyalty over professional decorum.
I cheered for him. But that burst of adrenaline leads him to make a fatal error. We are setting up the cliffhanger of the season, and it involves both Paula and Rudy discovering devastating truths through technology.
Let's start with Paula's discovery.
Paula makes it back home. She plugs the USB flash drive into her laptop. It is a massive digital archive of hundreds of Trevor's old Camboy videos, dating back years.
And in watching these videos, Paula receives the most crushing reality check of her life.
She clicks on a random video of Trevor performing for a different woman, and Trevor looks into the camera, uses that sultry voice, and says the exact same lines he used on Paula.
I'm gonna make you feel so good. You deserve to be worshipped.
Verbatim, word for word.
It broke my heart. Paula truly believed their initial connection was real. She thought she was special. And in that moment, she realizes it was all a heavily rehearsed, standardized script. He used the exact same psychological manipulation on every single mark. It was the ultimate betrayal of her parasocial relationship. The psychology of romance scams is built entirely on the illusion of intimacy. Scammers understand that loneliness is an exploitable vulnerability. It is brutal for Paula to witness, but necessary for her growth. She was living in a state of delusion. This video forces her to grieve the fantasy and face the reality.
It is a devastating loss of innocence. But while Paula is crying over a laptop, a much more immediate tragedy is unfolding across town.
The diner scene. My blood pressure spiked.
Rudy goes to a late-night diner. He is sitting alone in a booth, staring at Dennis's burner phone, and he makes the worst, most fatal decision of his entire life.
He reaches into his pocket, pulls out the battery he had separated from the device, and he snaps it into the back of the phone.
The screen lights up, and the second it connects to a cellular tower, the phone rings.
The timing is horrifying.
Rudy answers it, and through the receiver, this distorted, terrifying, digitally synthesized voice delivers a cryptic warning about returning what belongs to them.
But the voice on the phone is a misdirection. The real threat is happening simultaneously in another location.
We cut across the city to a dark hotel room. Jennifer, the fake lawyer, is sitting at a desk. Her laptop emits a sharp ping. The screen illuminates, showing a highly detailed satellite map of the city. A pulsing red dot appears on the grid.
When Rudy turned on that burner phone, the device immediately pinged the nearest cell towers. Because the cartel's IT department is highly sophisticated, they had the IMEI number logged into a tracking program. The moment the phone touched the network, the software triangulated its exact GPS coordinates.
Jennifer is actively watching Rudy's location, and the camera slowly pans down from the glowing screen to reveal a loaded, suppressed handgun sitting right next to her keyboard.
I was pacing my living room. Rudy tried to be a good friend. He tried to play detective, and he accidentally activated a homing beacon for a professional assassin.
He put a hit out on himself. The episode cuts to black on the shot of the red dot blinking, and I felt physically ill.
It was a perfectly executed, incredibly stressful cliffhanger. And that brings us to our segments, because I need to channel this leftover adrenaline into arguing with you.
I am so ready. It is time for segment 1, hot take or hard truth.
This is where we lay down our most aggressive opinions about the episode and defend them to the death. You go first. What is your hot take?
Okay, my hot take is deeply emotional, and I know you are going to hate it. I firmly believe that Carl and Paula are going to end up back together, romantically reconciled, by the end of the season.
I reject this on every conceivable level. I hate this so much, my teeth hurt.
Hear me out. I passionately believe this is where the narrative arc is heading. You saw the profound emotional weight of that hug outside of Rikers. Yes, he cheated on her. Yes, their marriage imploded. But they are now tethered together by this massive shared trauma.
Love is not a foundation for a healthy marriage.
But Carl is finally waking up. He is watching Mallory operate, and he is realizing that his new wife is a literal monster who views his daughter as a pawn. He doesn't want to raise Hazel in an environment devoid of empathy. The shared history he has with Paula is going to push them back into each other's arms. Carl will help Paula dismantle the blackmail ring, and they will reunite.
That is not a hot take. That is a delusion fueled by romantic comedies. What you just described is the most toxic, codependent trauma bonding I have ever heard in my life. Carl is a coward who goes wherever the strongest wind blows. Reconciling with Paula out of fear of his current wife is not a love story. It is a hostage situation.
You lack vision. The seeds are planted. What is your hard truth?
My hard truth is that Gary did absolutely nothing ethically or morally wrong in writing that article.
You are a sick, twisted individual.
Let me defend my position. We have to strip away the emotion and look at the facts. Paula was an incredibly toxic friend. Paula dragged her coworkers into a homicide investigation and offered zero support in return.
But to write an investigative hit piece exposing her secrets, to sell her out for a promotion?
Yes. Gary is a journalist. It is her literal job to uncover and report the truth. Paula is a sinking ship. Why should Gary sink her own career out of loyalty to a woman who routinely lies to her? Gary is capitalizing on a phenomenon to secure her future. It is not a betrayal. It is a shrewd career move.
I am yelling at you through the microphone. You do not publish an expose on the woman you share lunch with. You do not monetize the trauma of your
You
peers.
do if it guarantees you a senior editor position in financial stability.
We are fundamentally incompatible on this issue. Let's move to segment 2 before I throw something at you. Main character energy.
We choose who commanded the biggest main character moment this episode and who was tragically reduced to existing in someone else's storyline.
Surprisingly, I think we actually agree on the main character this week. Without hesitation, I am nominating Rudy.
It is 100% Rudy. He completely transcended his role as the quirky sidekick.
He demanded our attention. He aggressively shattered a $1,000 piece of technology on the floor. He stole critical evidence and accidentally initiated a hitman protocol. He chose action.
He chose violence, and I respect the character development. Now, who was simply existing in someone else's storyline, who had zero agency?
It absolutely has to be Carl.
Unquestionably Carl. Carl is a narrative ping-pong ball.
He is completely devoid of autonomy. He is just being violently batted back and forth between the two dominant women in his life. Paula creates a massive tornado. Carl is forced to react. Mallory drafts a sociopathic legal strategy. Carl is forced to react. He just stands in the center of the room looking confused.
He's a passive passenger in the vehicle of his own life. He is sitting in the back seat while Paula and Mallory take turns driving the car off a cliff.
Tragic. Okay, segment 3. If we were there.
If the universe dropped you and I directly into the world of this episode, how would we handle the chaos? First question, what would you do differently than the characters?
For me, it happens at the police station. After Ashley escaped through the bathroom window, I am not throwing a murder weapon into a trash can.
Yeah.
I am putting the flash drive in my shoe, hailing a cab, and taking that evidence directly to the FBI field office in Manhattan.
Bypassing the local precinct entirely. A very smart jurisdictional move.
Yes. The NYPD in this universe is profoundly compromised. Gonzalez is gambling away her attention span. I am taking federal evidence to federal agents. I'm not leaving my fate in the hands of a local detective who can't even secure her own lobby bathroom. What would you do?
This is incredibly easy. If I am sitting in a holding cell at Rikers Island and a woman I have never seen before walks in claiming to be my legal counsel, I am transforming into an absolute fortress of skepticism. I am demanding 2 forms of government-issued ID, a verified bar association credential, and I am making her recite the charging documents before I even confirm my own name. I would have maintained absolute silence.
Highly logical. You would survive Rikers. Okay, who would you immediately seek out to befriend?
I am immediately seeking out Mallory to forge an alliance.
No! Why would you willingly align yourself with the villain?
Because I want to study her methods. She is a strategic genius who operates without the burden of empathy. I want to sit on her patio, drink Chardonnay, and have her mentor me on how to systematically dismantle my enemies. Plus, she is a high-powered attorney. You always need a ruthless lawyer friend.
You are deeply attracted to the darkness. I am finding Rudy immediately. The second I land in that world, I am sprinting to that diner, slapping the burner phone out of his hand, and getting him an iced coffee and a licensed therapist. He needs a bestie to protect him from his own impulses.
You are immediately going to mother him. Typical. Okay, who would you actively avoid at all costs?
I think we're in complete alignment on this one. We would both sprint in the opposite direction of Paula.
Look at the empirical data. Literally everyone who stands within a 10-foot radius of Paula ends up arrested, scammed, physically assaulted with a cactus, or murdered. She is a walking curse. I would block her phone number so fast my screen would crack.
Exactly. I love her deeply, from a safe distance, through a television screen. In real life, she is a hazard to my health. Final question. Realistically, how long would we survive in this universe before accidentally creating fatal drama?
Huh. The survival rate is 0.
Give us maybe 48 hours.
That is generous. We would walk into the precinct. I would inevitably make a sarcastic comment, insulting the fake lawyer's cheap blazer. She would calmly pull out her suppressed handgun, and we would be eliminated instantly.
We would absolutely try to outsnark Jennifer the hit woman and be like, babe, that tailoring is atrocious, and boom, lights out. We lack the fundamental survival instinct required for a gritty thriller.
Entirely true. Which brings us to the final segment of the day. Messy predictions. Give me one bold prediction, one utterly ridiculous prediction, and one thing you desperately hope happens in the next episode.
Okay, I will start with my ridiculous prediction. I predict that the mysterious Portland incident that Ashley mentioned involves Paula accidentally causing the death of a beloved, obscure Canadian indie pop star.
What? How did you arrive at Canadian indie pop star?
It makes perfect sense. Think about the timeline. Years ago, before she met Carl, Paula was at a muddy music festival in Portland. She got way too intoxicated, stumbled backstage, and accidentally pushed a member of a synth pop band off a balcony into a dumpster. That is her dark secret.
That is so hyper-specific and so deeply unhinged that I almost want it to be true. Okay, my bold prediction. I predict that Mallory is not just a ruthless lawyer. I predict she is secretly a high-level associate of the blackmail ring.
Wait, stop the car. Elaborate on this immediately.
Look at the structural clues. She is a high-powered, incredibly wealthy attorney with a murky client list. She knew exactly how to manipulate the criminal justice system to secure custody of Hazel. What if she represents the shell corporations that Dennis used to launder the extortion money? What if she orchestrated Paula's downfall from the inside, specifically to get Paula arrested so Mallory could claim Carl and Hazel all to herself?
I have full body chills. That would be the most devastating, brilliant plot twist in television history. Mallory as the mastermind behind the entire operation.
It connects the domestic custody drama directly to the criminal thriller plotline. She is the puppet master.
Oh my God, my brain is going to be vibrating with that theory all week. Okay, finally, what do you desperately hope happens next week?
I think we both desperately hope the exact same thing to resolve this cliffhanger.
We are universally praying for Rudy.
We desperately hope that Rudy survives the diner encounter. My ideal scenario: Jennifer, the fake lawyer, tracks the GPS, walks into that neon-lit diner, pulls her gun, and I want Rudy to panic, swing his arm blindly, and absolutely clock her in the temple with his heavy metal water bottle.
Yes, just a resounding clang echoing through the diner. Take out a trained cartel assassin with a Yeti cup.
The tactical Hydro Flask defense. He becomes a viral hero, and the dented water bottle goes into the NYPD evidence locker as a legendary weapon.
Please, television writers, let Rudy live. We cannot handle the emotional devastation of losing him to a burner phone mistake.
We truly cannot. But that brings us to the end of our analysis, because that is all the stress my cardiovascular system can handle for one day.
We need to go take a nap and stare at a blank wall to decompress. But before we sign off, Snark Squad, we need to hear from you directly. Slide into our DMs or hit the comments on the episode post.
We have several pressing questions for the community. First, which of the Canadian confessions was the absolute wildest display of human behavior? Was it the HOA, policing, the patriotism of fireworks, the stubborn ketchup chips at the artisan dinner, or the friend aggressively apologizing to a moose?
Also, have you ever found yourself in a situation so chaotically specific to your hometown or region that it sounds fake? We need your stories. The messier and more unhinged, the better.
And finally, we need your narrative theories. What are you hoping happens next week with Rudy and the burner phone? Does he make it out of the diner alive? Is Mallory actually the cartel mastermind? Tell us we aren't crazy.
As we leave you today, I want to leave you with a chilling thought to mull over. We spent this entire time analyzing Paula and Rudy's mistakes, laughing at their technological blunders. But look at your own life, besties. Look at the device you are holding right now. Every app, every login, every convenient feature like one-day shipping or location sharing, it is all building a digital cage around you. Paula's downfall wasn't a gun, it was an Amazon account. Rudy's death warrant wasn't a threat, it was a lithium-ion battery connecting to a cell tower. We trade our privacy for convenience every single day, and we don't realize how completely exposed we are until someone decides to use that data against us. Think about that the next time you turn your phone on.
A horrifying, perfect final thought. Thank you so much for listening, for sipping along with us, and for surviving the absolute wreckage of this storyline.
If you love the show, please remember to subscribe, leave a glowing 5-star review, because anything less is frankly a personal attack on our efforts, and share the conversation with another messy babe in your life who needs to join the Snark Squad.
Until next week, stay hilarious.
Stay chaotic.
And we'll see you on the Snark side.